What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet. And as many of you guys know, I separated from my wife about 6 months ago, and we got a divorce back in January. So we've been divorced now for a fair amount of time. And yesterday, I made a new friend who is going through a divorce right now. And I started giving him a bunch of advice, talking to him about the things that I learned, what to do and what not to do, in the hopes that I could help him out a little bit. And then I realized that's a perfect YouTube video to create because there's going to be a lot of people out there who watch me who will eventually go through a divorce and plenty of people searching for it here on YouTube. So why keep that advice to myself and to him? Why not put it out there for the world to use? The first bit of advice, and I think my biggest mistake, was not keeping it off of social media. And don't get me wrong, there's a certain amount that you're eventually going to have to discuss, especially if you're a public figure like me. You're going to change your Facebook profile status and stuff like that. However, there's certain things you should definitely not put out there. My marriage ended because of irreconcilable differences, and it's fairly boring, but I did leak some personal information about her, about me, things that I just wish I hadn't said or things that I wish I hadn't done, and I think that's very, very important. But if you're going to have a very messy divorce, a difficult divorce, a complicated divorce, you absolutely don't want that taking place in social media. You don't want to be yelling at each other and calling each other names and telling each other and amongst your friends and your mutual friends and your family members especially. You don't want to be saying terrible things about someone they love and that they respect and that they care about. And you probably don't want somebody doing that about you either. So choosing not to disparage each other on social media is a really, really good decision, and you should definitely do your best to do that. And I can say from personal experiences, that is a very difficult thing to do because you are in a very fragile state. You are looking for validation from your friends, from your family, from total strangers. You're looking for comfort. You're looking for someone to take your side. You're looking for all of that. It's very easy to go to social media to try to get that. That's exactly the mistake I made. But trust me, it's not worth it. At the end, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Just don't do it. And secondly, I think surrounding yourself with people is a really good idea. Being alone during this period of time is not only boring and awful and makes the situation worse, but it's actually kind of dangerous. So you should rely on your friends. You should rely on your families. If you have a hobby that involves other people, you should indulge in that hobby. You should probably go out to places and do things that you wouldn't normally do and spend plenty of time distracting yourself, because this is one of those things that is going to take time till you feel better. So the better you spend that time, the more distracted you spend that time, spending that time around other people who can help distract you and help you feel positive, good things. It's the smartest thing you can do. The time alone is useful sometimes, and you'll need it sometimes, and you'll use it sometimes. But for the most part, I think you should rely on your support structure and the people that are there to help take care of you, because you're going to need someone to take care of you during that miserable time. My third point here may seem a little contradictory with the first point, but it's to talk. Whereas I would not recommend you talk about it on Facebook or social media or anywhere else, you should find a friend and a confidant, someone that you can trust to not repeat the things that you have to say. I especially advise a therapist here who can help you with these feelings, and then get these feelings and thoughts and things out of your head, because you're going to have a tremendous amount of pain you're dealing with, and vocalizing that and bouncing that off of somebody is very, very useful. You're going to have a tremendous amount of anger, a tremendous amount of pain, a tremendous amount of negative feelings that if you keep them inside, if you bury them, you bottle them, you're just not going to be able to deal with them. It is so important that you talk to anybody and everybody that you can trust to understand the situation you're in, understand that you may not even mean some of the things that you're saying as you try on new ideas, you try on new hats, you try out new feelings, you try out new ways of coping and figuring everything out. Surround yourself with people that you trust and talk. And therapy is probably the best place to do that. I know not everybody has that available. Not everybody trusts therapy. Not everybody can afford it. So if you can't, find a friend or family member that's not a mutual friend, that's not going to have trouble repeat the things you say or necessarily be offended by them if you say something negative about somebody they love. Find somebody you can trust. Find somebody who will be silent, and get that stuff out of your head and heart. Now, the gentleman I was talking to yesterday said that he had begun to throw away literally everything that reminded him of the marriage, and I kind of did the same thing, but based on some advice I read on the internet, I held on to a few items that had like shared memories, things that involved other friends or other family members, wedding photos that I felt like I really wanted to keep, or knickknacks that I really wanted to keep, because the advice on the internet said, eventually you'll reach a point where you hold that item and you're no longer hurt, you're no longer angry, you're no longer filled with pain or regret or remorse or whatever. You'll look at that item and you'll have the positive memory associated with it almost exclusively. Now, I took 5 or 6 items and 5 or 6 photos that I absolutely cherished and loved, and I put them in a box, and that box is now in the attic. And one day, many years from now, I hope to pull it down and crack it open and hopefully experience that. I'm certainly not experiencing it yet, but it's only been 6 months, so I'll give it time. But I hope that advice works, and I wanted to share it just in case it does. Which leads me to the piece of advice that I think is one of the most important, and that's changing your surroundings. You're going to throw away a tremendous amount of stuff, and depending on the amount of stuff that you guys shared, you might be losing a house, you might be losing a car, you might be losing all kinds of stuff. But whatever you do keep, I think it's a good idea to invest in brand new stuff that does not have a memory associated with it. Maybe that's rearranging your furniture at the very least. Maybe it's buying new furniture. It's selling the old bed and buying a new one. It's buying a new car, selling the old one, trading it in for something of equal or lesser value. Moving to a new apartment, moving to a new house, moving to a new city, moving to a new state. Geographical changes don't always work, but even if it's just across the city, sometimes it does. Changing your surroundings, whether that means changing the things in your surroundings or changing the surroundings themselves, is a really good piece of advice, because you're starting a new chapter of your life, and that new chapter should be marked by new surroundings and new things and new stuff that doesn't remind you of that person, but instead inspires your new life. Which leads me to my final bit of advice, and I think absolutely the most important, and that's creating new memories, doing new things, creating new experiences, meeting new people, and enjoying your new freedom. And I think that's something I think a lot of people may not want to do at first because you're hurt. You don't feel like you can feel positive feelings. You feel like that kind of experience is going to be wasted. But I will tell you, as I have met new people, as I've gone out on dates, as I've hung out with new people and made new friends, I've gone back to Friday Night Magic. I started seeing movies with old friends I used to hang out with that I didn't when I was married, when I just went out into the world and did brand new stuff, and I traveled and I saw shows and I saw movies and I ate at new places and I met new people and I did new things and created new memories. That is the most rewarding stuff. And I'll tell you, over the last 6 months, I don't remember the nights that I stayed in and I moped and I felt bad for myself and I pitied myself. I don't remember those nights. Those nights are just a blur and they're gone. But the new people that I met, the new places I went, the new stuff that I did, that's the stuff I remember for the last 6 months, and that's the stuff I will always remember. Get out of your comfort zone, get out of your box, and do brand new stuff. Even if you don't feel like you're going to enjoy it, and even if you don't enjoy it the first few times you do it, try new stuff anyway, because when you do enjoy it, it's worth it. And it's going to be a very momentary respite in the amount of misery that you're dealing with as you heal. But it's a very important respite. It's very important that you do that to yourself. I think it's the number one thing you need to do when it comes to self-care. And then one more thing, and I think this is a bonus thing. This is how we chose to do it, but it's not always going to work for everybody. Me and my ex decided to be as friendly as we could. We wanted to stay as friendly as we could. Now, we obviously can't be friends right now, and it'll probably be a very long time till we ever would be able to do that. But as it is right now, we are being very kind to each other. We're being very nice to each other. We still talk frequently because there's a lot of things still we need to figure out. And as we figure out those things, we do it with no piss and vinegar, no venom, no resentment, no frustration, no anger. We reserve that for our private times. We reserve that for our therapists. We reserve that outside of that. Now, not every couple's going to be able to do that. And I don't know yet if that is the best way to handle it. It was the best way for me, and it seems to be the best way for her, but I don't know if it's the best piece of advice for you. So that's something you should consider for yourself, something that you should do with your therapist. But I got to tell you, it was very rewarding for me. And if you choose to do it, hopefully it'll be rewarding for you as well. And that's pretty much it. That's the major points of advice that I have for the last 6 months of my life. This is all advice I wish I could go back in time and give to myself. And hopefully, if you're going through a bad breakup, if you're going through a divorce, hopefully this can help you out a little bit. It certainly would have helped me. I'm being told by my therapist and a lot of other divorcees that it's going to be, a few years before I'm over this. So I've learned a lot in the first 6 months, but in the next year or two, I'll probably learn a lot more, and I'll continue to share that with you guys if you guys enjoyed this video and if it's useful for you. Hopefully it's not useful for you, though. Hopefully your marriage is the one that ends in death, and I hope that for you, and I'm rooting for you, and I hope that for myself as well one day with the next one. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I love you very much. And I'll speak with you again soon.